Hello and welcome to episode 17 of Working Mum to Business Mum, helping working mums realize their dream of starting or growing their own business so that they can give up the day job to be more present in their families. All without the overwhelm and feeling like you need to work in your business every spare moment that you have. I'm Debbie Lucas, and over the coming weeks, I'm going to be focusing on each step of my journey method. I'll take you through each step and help you to know your ideal client, craft a unique solution, and grow your audience by creating that know, like, and trust factor. My journey method is for coaches, therapists, counselors, and anyone in the service-based industry who is looking to generate consistent, semi-passive income so that you can focus your time and attention on doing what you love without feeling like you need to chase those one-to-one clients as your only source of income. In today's episode, we're moving on to the next stop in the journey. For one problem. Now that you know why it's important to have a niche in business, we take it a step further by selecting your ideal client's biggest pain point. Before I kick off, I'd like to ask you a big favour as always. It'll be a small task for you but would mean so much to me and help me to grow my podcast. It really does help fledgling podcasters like me to grow our audience if listeners rate, review and subscribe to our podcast. It only takes 2 minutes out of your day, but it makes such a difference to ensuring that others like you can find and benefit from my podcast. In last week's episode, I told you about when I bought my new car. Well, sticking with the theme of my car, I have another story for you. For a few days, I would feel an intermittent shuddering through my steering wheel, but just assumed it was the road. However, I was driving along one day when my car started to make a funny noise. I pulled over and called roadside assistance. I tried to explain to them what was happening, but couldn't clearly articulate the problem in technical terms. Apparently, sounding out the noise the car was making couldn't really help them identify the problem. Who knew? The person at the end of the line asked me some focused questions and was able to help me describe the problem better. However, I wasn't sure what the cause of the problem was, given that there seemed to be a few things going wrong at the same time. So they sent a roadside mechanic out to help. And I'll come back to finish the story later and tell you how this is related to knowing your ideal client's biggest pain point. I've often spoken about my struggles in narrowing down my prospective client base. But once I had that nailed, I really struggled to focus on only one problem they were facing. There are multiple elements to a problem, and why wouldn't I want to help them solve it all? Well, it comes down to that favourite of mine, being able to work smarter and not harder. And as with knowing your ideal client, knowing their biggest problem or pain point allows you to really hone your marketing and messaging. Prospective clients want to feel that you know them and understand what they're going through. By being clear about your messaging, you can communicate with them using the language that they do. Sure, you could solve all of their problems, but by focusing on one problem, you can refine your messaging and it will help with the next step on your journey, crafting your unique solution, but we'll cover that next week. A second reason for focusing on one problem or their biggest pain point is that even though that's the focus, there is every chance that most of their other related problems and pain points will resolve as well. Think of it as a ripple effect. When the core of their problem or issues is addressed, their other problems will naturally resolve and they'll either have the knowledge, skills or confidence to work on the rest. Or, as you get to know what these other problems are, you could offer another unique solution or work with them on a one-to-one basis to help them resolve those remaining niggles, meaning even more business growth and income for you. That's a win-win in my book. By focusing in on one specific pain point, you're able to shape your conversations with your prospective client. So, whether it's speaking with them generally or undertaking a discovery call, and we'll not call them sales calls for now, You're able to ask specific questions to help them understand their problem better and recognize the knock-on effect that this is having in other areas of their life, business, family, career, etc. By helping them to develop an objective perspective on their biggest problem, they're able to recognize the issue and realize that if they don't address it, it will continue to affect them in a negative way. Okay, so yeah, you may encounter some resistance from them about solving their problem, but I'll cover dealing with resistance in another episode when we discuss selling in more detail. A fourth reason why it's so important to understand your ideal client's biggest pain point is that it can help them to identify what they want instead. A lot of people struggle to identify what they do want, so by helping them figure out what they don't want first, they can then shift into focusing on moving forward with a goal that is stated in the positive. Helping them to get all their worries and moans out of their system is not only cathartic for a start, it helps them to really appreciate the impact of putting up with this problem. And so they can then move on to more magical thinking and what life could look like without that problem. They can start thinking about a goal to work towards and become much more focused on wanting a solution and your help to achieve it. And this then moves us on to the fifth reason for knowing your ideal client's biggest pain point. And that is the fact that you are then able to craft a unique solution that will take away their pain, stress, and worry. You're able to give them the knowledge and skills to move on from a place of feeling stuck and allow them to see the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. By helping them to see the transformation of not putting up with their problem any longer, your messaging becomes so much clearer. Remember, people buy transformation, not courses. So by understanding the real difference your unique solution can make to your ideal client, you can become really targeted in your messaging. So how do you really know what your ideal client's biggest pain point is? Well, for a lot of us, we often are our ideal client. So it's easy to really understand what they're going through and the pain of not addressing the problem. However, if your ideal client is not someone like you, then you really need to spend some time doing market research and getting to know them better. And this is something that I'll cover in more detail as we go through the steps of my journey method. So keep listening, as I will share my top tips to help you get to know and understand your ideal client better. So coming back to my car troubles. The roadside mechanic ran some diagnostic tests and checked the car over. Once he found the problem, he was able to fix it at the roadside and the noise and shuddering disappeared, and my ride was smooth again. Now, I can't even remember what the issue was, but by fixing the main problem, all the other issues resolved too. And the reason he was able to fix my car at the roadside was because he knew what the cause of the problem most likely was, and so was able to bring the necessary parts with him. Apparently, the shuddering steering wheel was the first indication that there was something wrong, and this then deteriorated to the point that the car started making a noise. And so, because the call handler helped me to narrow down exactly what the issue was, they were able to target the problem and solve it swiftly and speedily without the cost and hassle of having to tow my car to the nearest garage. You can see how truly understanding your ideal client's problem can help you to identify and prepare for the solution, but also how fixing the main problem can resolve the other issues that were going on as well. So here are your top takeaways from today's episode. By focusing on your ideal client's biggest pain point, you're able to refine your messaging even more and help them feel that you truly understand them. You will most likely solve other smaller related problems. Knowing the biggest pain point makes your discovery or sales calls much easier. Your ideal clients are clearer on what they do want, and goal setting becomes much easier. You're able to craft a unique solution that offers transformation. To end with a quote from Shep Hyken. No matter how knowledgeable and enthusiastic you are, if you do not solve a problem, you will not satisfy the customer. Knowing your ideal client's biggest pain point really does make so much sense for you and your business. You are able to focus your time and attention on understanding your ideal client, but more importantly, craft that unique solution that will make you stand out from the competition. As always, you can find me on all the usual social media channels and in my Facebook group, Working Mum to Business Mum. And of course, on my website, coachingwithdebbie.com, where you'll find a link to sign up to my weekly newsletter so that you get any resources I mention in my episodes directly to your inbox. All the links are in the show notes. Join me next week for episode 18, where we'll move on to the next stop of your journey to starting or growing your business. You, for unique solution. This is where the fun really kicks in and you can let those creative juices flow. So I'm really looking forward to that one. If you like this podcast, it would really help me a lot if you can share it, rate and review it, and if you don't want to miss the next episode, then hit that subscribe button. Until then, wishing you all the best.